Hello friends, it's 7:30 p.m. and you are tuned to the General Overseas Service of All India Radio, the voice of the nation. We are here with news, views, celebrity endorsements, write-ups, videos, vox pop, tips of the day and music for your listening pleasure. So happy tuning in.
This is the General Overseas Service of All India Radio. Namaskar. The News Snippets. Read by Maria Albina Michael. 347,979 patients have recovered from COVID-19 in the country. In the past 24 hours, 13,147 people have been discharged. The recovery rate is now 59.4%. There has been a slight fall in the daily number of cases in Delhi. The national capital's recovery rate is now 67%. Indians have welcomed the decision to ban 59 Chinese apps. People are of the opinion that Indian startups can fill the gap by their innovations. A CRPF Jawan and a civilian were killed in a terrorist attack in Sopore, Jammu and Kashmir. 3 CRPF personnel were also injured in the attack. The Prime Minister Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana that provides free rations to 80 crore Indians has been hailed as a landmark food program by international observers. US has warned China of new countermeasures after Beijing imposed sweeping national security law on Hong Kong. Washington called it a sad day. The G7 nations have also criticized the imposition of national security law in Hong Kong. The 7-nation group termed it as not in conformity with Hong Kong basic law. India's first COVID-19 vaccine candidate is set for Phase 1 and 2 of human trials. The Drug Controller General of India has given approval for the human trials. On National Doctors' Day, doctors in India reiterated commitment for fighting the long battle against coronavirus. National Doctors' Day is observed on the birth anniversary of Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy, former Chief Minister of West Bengal and an eminent doctor. Europe has banned entry of Pakistan International Airlines from flying into the continent after dubious pilot license issue. And that is the end of the news snippets.
WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says, "We all want COVID-19 to be over. We all want to get on with our lives. But the hard reality is, this is not even close to being over. We will need even greater stories of resilience, patience, humility and generosity in the months ahead. This is a time for renewing our commitment to empowering communities, suppressing transmission, saving lives, accelerating research and political leadership."
Tomorrow marks 6 months since WHO received the first reports of a cluster of cases of pneumonia of unknown cause in China. The 6-month anniversary of the outbreak coincides with reaching 10 million cases and 500,000 deaths. None of us could have imagined how our world and our lives would be thrown into turmoil by this new virus. All over the world, we have seen heartwarming acts of resilience, inventiveness, solidarity, and kindness. But we have also seen concerning signs of stigma, misinformation, and the politicization of the pandemic. We all want this to be over. We all want to get on with our lives. But the hard reality is, this is not even close to being over. We have already lost so much, but we cannot lose hope. This is a time for renewing our commitment to empowering communities, suppressing transmission, saving lives, accelerating research, and to building the safer, fairer, greener, more inclusive world we all want.
This week we share tips for time management. Time management is one of those issues we all face, but ironically feel like we don't have time to address. But as Benjamin Franklin once said, time is like money. Without being managed properly, how do you know where it's going? This series is inspired by quotes of some influential people from the world who did their bit. Don't make the same decisions twice. Spend time and thought to make a solid decision the first time so that you don't revisit the issue unnecessarily. A quote of Bill Gates. It's always tempting to try to do more than one thing at a time, which is often called multitasking. But science shows that multitasking simply isn't an option if you want to manage your time properly. So why do so many of us spend our days trying to multitask? And if it's so bad for us, how can we break the cycle and protect our attention, focus, and time? Rescue Time Block helps us with 5 ways to reduce the amount of multitasking you do each day. The easiest way to reduce multitasking is to set up your day and your work environment for single tasking and focus. This means removing all the triggers and distractions that pull at your attention. When you're trying to get through a task, to start, focus on these 5 techniques. 1. Create a daily schedule with dedicated time for focused work. Your daily schedule is your map for the day. Limit your email time and work in bursts. Start your limiting your time on email. Then commit to working through your emails and IMS in bursts. Not only does this help you focus, but bursty communication has been found to be more productive and creative. Third, block distracting websites when you want to focus. External distractions like notifications can cause us to multitask, but just as dangerous is boredom. 4. Alternate between periods of focus and breaks. Avoiding multitasking doesn't mean avoiding breaks. In fact, to keep your energy levels high and focus on single tasking, you need to have moments to refuel and refocus. Regular breaks also help clear out the attention residue left over from your previous tasks. 5. Optimize your work environment for focus. Distractions aren't the only thing that causes us to multitask. Your work environment can pull at your attention just as much as a notification. Following these steps won't guarantee you don't multitask, but they will help you focus and give you the best chance of staying committed to seeing a task through to the finish line. Start small and gradually build your focus sessions, adding more time for heads down work or hard blocking distractions as you go. We will be back again same time and channel with another inspiring tip to help you manage your time well. Until then, let the clock tick with a smile. And now a peek into Archana's kitchen for a vegetarian Thai red curry recipe.
Hi everyone, welcome to my kitchen. In today's recipe, I'm going to show you how to make a vegetarian Thai green curry. It's one of my favorites, and Thai cuisine in general is a family favorite because it's got subtle flavors of all the different condiments like coriander, basil, and especially lemongrass and coconut milk, which heightens the flavor of this entire dish. So without wasting any time, I'm going to show you small tips and tricks of how you can make a perfect Thai green curry. So let me get started right away. So my first step is to make the Thai green curry is to make the Thai green curry paste, and for that lemongrass is a very important ingredient, and I have like other list of ingredients as well. Curing the lemongrass is extremely important, and knowing how to do it is and I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So first, typically when you buy a lemongrass, you get it with a lot of other leaves on the top. I've essentially removed it, but I've kept a lot of it aside for you so that I can show you how to do that. First, cut off the stem of the lemongrass, which is the core, the root, and keep peeling it until you come to the tender portion of the lemongrass. Okay, so you will see all this, don't throw it away. You can use it in making your chai, but essentially I'm just going to keep peeling it until I reach the most tender portion of it. So, and you will know when you actually cut into it and it cuts more smoothly. Notice that there is no fiber. If you see there's fiber, which means you need to go in one more level and then remove it a little more. Okay, so that's when you know that it is really tender. So I'm just going to remove that, and now it's perfect. See, there's no fiber coming out as well. And this is how you essentially use the most thinnest part of the stem. So I'm just going to cut it all up and just cut the remaining part of the lemongrass too. So that's garlic. I'm just going to leave it as it is and don't need to chop. And I have some ginger and I have some green chilies. I'm going to go a little slow on the green chilies because I'm going to be taking it home for dinner. So I'm just going to add like one green chili which I've cut up. But essentially, if you like your Thai curry to be spicy, then you can add a couple of more green chilies or even a red chili. Okay, so the next is to chop up the spring onions. I have some spring onions here, and along with the bulb as well as the leaves, I'm just going to chop them up. And I have some coriander leaves here. Just going to chop this up as well, and some basil leaves, and I have some roughly chopped onions. So I'm just going to go ahead and add in just all of it which I chopped into my mixer grinder, and then we'll blend into a nice smooth paste. Add in the onions. So you have to add some cumin seeds, coriander seeds, which are another important flavoring ingredient, and some black peppercorns to add to the punch, along with some water. And we'll just blend it. Oh, it's spicy. Just adding one green chili, and I can smell the flavors of lemongrass, basil, and the gut from the green chilies. As it smells really good, and it has been ground into a nice smooth paste. Notice it's really smooth. A lot of times when you actually use lemongrass, people have this common complaint that it's very fibery and it's not smooth. Just follow the tips of how to cure the lemongrass as I showed you in the beginning, and you should not have that problem of fiber. And if you do, then grind it for a little longer time with some warm water and it should be okay. Okay, so now that this is ready, I'm going to go dive in to saute the vegetables and then make the Thai green curry. So now the first step is to roast all the ingredients into my kadai. I'm going to add in some oil, just a little bit of oil, because I'm going to almost steam cook and pan toss all these vegetables. And the vegetables that you add into a Thai green curry is completely your choice, it's personal, but I love to load it with a lot of vegetables. I'm going to add in some green and red capsicum. Okay, I'm just going to add it in. And in fact, all these vegetables are so tender that can be added all together. Some baby corn, some zucchini, which is green. I've cut them long. You can cut them into chunks. It's your personal choice of how you want to cut them. Some yellow zucchini and some carrots and broccoli. Sprinkle some salt and then stir fry all of these ingredients until it becomes lightly soft. I like it to be a little crunchy, and so that the colors stand out as well. So you just want it to have a nice bite and still the vegetables are not raw. So let's just stir fry them. We're going to sprinkle just a little bit of water. That's completely optional, but I like to because then it helps to create that extra little moisture and then steam the vegetables quickly as well. So let's stir fry. I'm going to just sprinkle just a little bit of water. I'm going to cover the pan and allow the vegetables to steam cook for about a couple of minutes. Keep stir frying it in between. So while the vegetables are steaming, it's going to take a couple of minutes, and in that process I'm going to show you how to saute the green curry paste, add in the coconut milk and get all the flavors in. So I'm going to be using a nice wide bowl over here like a saucepan, and into this just a little bit of oil. And we have our Thai green curry paste, which I'm just going to add in. And I'm going to saute the Thai green curry paste for a couple of minutes until you can smell the aromas coming through. It's not that we're cooking it like a masala, but essentially just giving it a toss, and so it cooks a little bit on its own. So about a couple of minutes, not more. As soon as you see that it's bubbling, you know it's done, and I'll add the rest of the ingredients, which are really, really important. So notice that it's begin to bubble, right? And at this stage, I'm just going to keep stirring it. Ensure that you keep stirring it. And at this stage, I'm going to add in the coconut milk. This is freshly squeezed coconut milk. You can also add store-bought coconut milk, and that's absolutely okay. And coconut milk lends in a wonderful flavor to this. And this is going to be a little thick, so you have to dilute it with a little bit of water. I'm going to turn the heat to low on my vegetables so it doesn't burn at the bottom. And just give it a stir. Here, this needs some salt. And the Thai curry has a little bit of sweetness too. So I'm going to add in some brown sugar. And brown sugar is a very nice ingredient. It not only adds to the little bit of color, but also to a light caramel taste to the curry. And the sweetness is purely your choice amount of sweetness that you like. Like I said, the spices are also up to you as to how spicy that you like. Now give this Thai curry a brisk boil, and once the vegetables are done, that it's cooked, I'm going to add it into this, and then one brisk boil and the Thai curry will be ready to be served. So the Thai curry is simmering away, and I'm going to open my vegetables and take a quick look at it, and I can see that it's getting soft as well. There's a lot of moisture in there. I'm going to turn off the heat. And if you just prick into the vegetables, you'll see the juices oozing out, and then you know that it's done. Give it a bite if you're unsure of it. So take the vegetables and just gradually add it in. Love the color of the nice bright green vegetables there. Okay, awesome. I'm going to add in the tofu. Tofu is completely optional, but I like adding tofu. It adds great texture and protein as well. Gonna give it a stir. It's thickened up a little bit. It needs a lot of water. Just gonna pour in some water. So ensure that when you add water, check the salt, and if there's any spices that you need to add, which most likely you want, because the curry paste is really thick. And that's it. So if you like it to be thick, then you keep the curry thick. If you like it to be a little more thin, add more water. But salt and sugar is something that you definitely need to check. So I think I like the consistency of the Thai curry right now over here, and it looks perfect. What I'm going to do is to give it a quick taste and see if it needs some salt or even some sugar. It definitely needs some salt. So I'm just going to sprinkle some more salt and allow it to nicely boil, just one boil before you're ready to serve, and then serve it along with some hot steamed rice. So just before serving, you need to add in some freshly toned basil leaves, because that heightens the flavor of the Thai curry, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Just going to tear up some fresh basil leaves and add it inside. Don't chop them up. Tearing is a great idea because it heightens the flavor and releases all the juices from the basil. Okay, so that's it. So now that this is done, I'm going to quickly serve it into my bowl and enjoy it with a hot bowl of rice. So I hope you enjoyed watching this recipe of how to make the vegetarian Thai green curry. You must try it for a weekend dinner, and I'm sure your family will love it. It's a one-dish meal. All you need is a hot bowl of steamed rice, maybe flavor it with some coconut milk or fresh coconut, and then serve it along with this, and it's absolutely delicious. When you do try this recipe, don't forget to share your feedback in the comments below, because I'll always be looking to hear back from you. So until then, until next time, happy cooking and healthy eating.
Today is National Doctors' Day. The grateful nation salutes all the doctors and medicos who are engaged in life-saving efforts of their patients and especially giving their life and soul during the dreaded pandemic.
You are with us on the General Overseas Service of All India Radio. We now bring you today's commentary. Prime Minister announces extension of Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana. It is scripted and read by Kaushik Rai, AIR news analyst. Just before the beginning of Unlock 2, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the nation. He said the monsoon season has begun in the country. It brings many ailments. Prime Minister urged all Indians to take special care of themselves during the monsoon season. Prime Minister said considering Corona's death rate, India is comparatively in a better position compared to many countries in the world. Timely imposition of lockdown and other decisions have saved lakhs of lives. Earlier, we were very careful with respect to wearing of masks, social distancing and washing of hands for 20 seconds. But today, when we need to be more careful, increasing negligence is a cause for worry. Mr. Modi said, we need to focus more on containment zones. Those not following the rules need to be stopped and cautioned. All have seen in the news the Prime Minister of a country was fined Rs 13,000 for not wearing a mask at a public place. In India too, the local administration should work with the same enthusiasm. This is a drive to protect the lives of 130 crore Indians. Be it a village Pradhan or the Pradhan Mantri, no one is above the law in the country, observed Prime Minister. The nation's top priority during the lockdown was to ensure that no one remains hungry. Central government, state government, civil society all did their best to ensure that no one went to bed hungry. Thus, immediately after the lockdown, government brought out the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. Under this scheme, a package worth Rs 1.75 lakh crore was provided for the poor, the Prime Minister said. In the last 3 months, 20 crore poor households have received direct benefit transfers worth 31,000 crore. During this period, Rs 18,000 crore have been deposited in bank accounts of over 9 crore farmers. Simultaneously, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan was quickly launched for employment of Shramiks in rural areas. Government is spending Rs 50,000 crore on this. In India, over 80 crore people were given free ration for 3 months. Every member of the family was given 5 kg of wheat or rice free of cost. In addition, every family got 1 kg pulse per month free of cost. In a way, over 2.5 times the population of the United States, 12 times the population of the United Kingdom, and double the population of the European Union was given free ration by our government. Prime Minister said just after the monsoons, the festive session begins in India. It increases necessities as well as expenditure. Keeping this in mind, it has been decided to extend Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana up to Diwali and Chhath Puja, that is till November end. The Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana for 80 crore people will continue in July, August, September, October and November. Government will provide free ration to 80 crore poor Indians for 5 months. Every member of the family will get 5 kg of rice or wheat. Also, every family will get 1 kg of whole chana per month free of cost. Over Rs 90,000 crore will be spent on the extension of the PM Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. Including the expenditure of the last 3 months on this scheme, the total comes to Rs 1.5 lakh crore. One nation, one ration card is also being implemented. Major beneficiaries of this will be those who go to other states in search of employment. Prime Minister said today, if the government is able to provide free ration to the needy and poor, then the credit for this goes to 2 categories. One, the hard-working farmers of our country. Second, the honest taxpayers of our country. It is their hard work and dedication due to which the nation is able to do it. Farmers have filled the stocks of the nation, therefore, there is food in the kitchen of the poor, and workers have paid tax honestly. That is why the poor of the country are successfully coping with such a big crisis. Prime Minister expressed his heartfelt gratitude to the taxpayers and farmers. In the coming days, India will further strengthen efforts to empower the poor, downtrodden, and deprived sections of society. While taking all precautions, India would further expand our economic activities. We all need to work ceaselessly for Atmanirbhar Bharat. We all should be vocal for local. With this pledge and commitment, 130 crore people of this country will have to work together and move forward. That was today's commentary. Prime Minister announces extension of Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. It was scripted and read by Kaushik Rai, AIR news analyst. This broadcast came to you from the General Overseas Service of All India Radio.
Today we celebrate the Commonwealth Secretariat Day, 55 years of glorious service to the Commonwealth of Nation. The event is being organized by the non-government and not-for-profit group called the Friends of Commonwealth Secretariat, which has been set up by a group of like-minded individuals with the purpose of organizing this maiden celebration in India on July 1st, 2020, and encouraging similar celebrations throughout the 54 Commonwealth countries in coming years. The speakers at this event are retired Honourable Baroness Patricia, Scotland QC Secretary General of Commonwealth, Mr. Baijant Panda, National Vice President and Spokesperson of Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP), Professor Chinmay Pandya, PRO, Vice Chancellor Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya University (DSVV), Mr. P.P. Chowdhury, Member of Parliament and Chairman, Parliamentary Standing Committee on External Affairs, Ambassador Mr. Shyam Saran, former Foreign Secretary of India and former Chairman, National Security Advisory Board, Mrs. Meenakshi Lekhi, Member of Parliament, Delhi, and Mr. Prem Rawat, internationally renowned speaker, humanitarian and author.
Sandra Kiley is an animal rights activist from New Zealand and is also the owner of End Animal Slaughter website, which she started in 2018 with the goal of closing all slaughterhouses in the Western world by 2025. Today, Sandra Kiley shares with us an article on arguments for eating meat debunked. Millions of people all over the world are cutting back on meat or giving it up altogether. This is because of compelling evidence that plant-based is the best diet and that overconsumption of meat and dairy leads to disease, pollution, deforestation, biodiversity loss, and global warming. The animal agriculture sector is trying to fight back against the trend to veganism with counter-arguments which Guardian Environment editor Damien Carrington debunks. Whether you're concerned about your health, the environment, or animal welfare, scientific evidence is piling up that meat-free diets are best. Millions of people in wealthy nations are already cutting back on animal products. Of course, livestock farmers and meat lovers are unsurprisingly fighting back, and it can get confusing. Are avocados really worse than beef? What about bee massacring and almond production? The coronavirus pandemic has added another ingredient to that mix. The rampant destruction of the natural world is seen as the root cause of diseases, leaping into humans, and is largely driven by farming expansion. The world's top biodiversity scientists say even more deadly pandemics will follow unless the ecological devastation is rapidly halted. Food is also a vital part of our culture, while the affordability of food is an issue of social justice. So there isn't a single perfect diet, but the evidence is clear. Whichever healthy and sustainable diet you choose, it is going to have much less red meat and dairy than today's standard Western diets, and quite possibly none. That's for two basic reasons. First, the overconsumption of meat is causing an epidemic of disease. With about $285 billion spent every year around the world treating illness caused by eating red meat alone. Second, eating plants is simply a far more efficient use of the planet's stretched resources than feeding the plants to animals and then eating them. The global livestock herd and the grain it consumes takes up 83% of global farmland, but produces just 18% of food calories. So what about all those arguments in favor of meat eating and against vegan diets? The 14th claim, catching out vegans. Fruits and vegetables aren't vegan because they rely on animal manure as fertilizer. Most vegans would say it's just silly to say fruit and veg are animal products and plenty are produced without animal dung. In any case, there is no reason for horticulture to rely on manure at all. Synthetic fertilizer is easily made from the nitrogen in the air, and there is plenty of organic fertilizer available if we choose to use it more widely in the form of human feces. Over-application of fertilizer does cause water pollution problems in many parts of the world. But that applies to both synthetic fertilizer and manure, and results from bad management. The 15th claim, vegan diets kill millions of insects. Piers Morgan is among those railing against hypocrite vegans. Because commercially kept bees die while pollinating almonds and avocados and combine harvesters, create mass murder of bugs and small mammals while bringing in the grain harvest. But almost everyone eats these foods, not just vegans. It is true that insects are in a terrible decline across the planet, but the biggest drivers of this are the destruction of wild habitat, largely for meat production, and widespread pesticide use. If it is insects that you're really worried about, then eating a plant-based organic diet is the option to choose. The 16th claim, telling people to eat less meat and dairy, is denying vital nutrition to the world's poorest. A planetary health diet published by scientists to meet both global health and environmental needs was criticized by journalist Joanna Blithman. When ideologues living in affluent countries pressurize poor countries to eschew animal foods and go plant-based, they are displaying crass insensitivity and a colonial white savior mindset. In fact, says Springman, who was part of the team behind the planetary health diet, it would improve nutritional intake in all regions, including poorer regions where starchy foods currently dominate diets. The big cuts in meat and dairy are needed in rich nations. In other parts of the world, many healthy traditional diets are already low in animal products. The 17th claim, on the road. Transport emissions mean that eating plants from all over the world is much worse than local meat and dairy. Eating local is a recommendation you hear often, but is one of the most misguided pieces of advice, says Hannah Ritchie at the University of Oxford. Greenhouse gas emissions from transportation make up a very small amount of the emissions from food, and what you eat is far more important than where your food traveled from. Beef and lamb have many times the carbon footprint of most other foods, she says. So whether the meat is produced locally or shipped from the other side of the world, plants will still have much lower carbon footprints. Transport emissions for beef are about 0.5% of the total, and for lamb it's 2%. The reason for this is that almost all food transported long distances is carried by ships, which can accommodate huge loads and are therefore fairly efficient. For example, the shipping emissions for avocados crossing the Atlantic are about 8% of their total footprint. Air freight does of course result in high emissions, but very little food is transported this way. It accounts for just 0.16% of food miles. Claim 18. All the farmers who raise livestock would be unemployed if the world went meat-free. Livestock farming is massively subsidized with taxpayers' money around the world, unlike vegetables and fruit. That money could be used to support more sustainable foods such as beans and nuts instead, and to pay for other valuable services such as capturing carbon in woodlands and wetlands, restoring wildlife, cleaning water, and reducing flood risks. Shouldn't your taxes be used to provide public goods rather than harms? So food is complicated, but however much we might wish to continue farming and eating as we do today, the evidence is crystal clear that consuming less meat and more plants is very good for both our health and the planet. The fact that some plant crops have problems is not a reason to eat meat instead. In the end, you will choose what you eat. If you want to eat healthily and sustainably, you don't have to stop eating meat and dairy altogether. The planetary health diet allows for a beef burger, some fish, and an egg each week, and a glass of milk or some cheese each day. You were listening to Sandra Kiley, an animal rights activist from New Zealand, sharing an article by Damien Carrington on arguments for eating meat debunked.